Hello guys and welcome back. So in this section we'll talk about child routing and fetching the query parameters and route parameters inside the class. Okay, so let's say we have a UI like this, wherein we have some users inside the users tab. Okay, like so. And if I click on a particular user, the details of that particular user should be displayed right on the right hand side of the screen. Okay, so let's say if I click on John Doe right now, I get an error, and that is because it's going to this path user/1. Okay, but it is not able to find that path there. Okay, so let's first do something to fix this error, and afterwards we'll just have a look at child routing. So I'll go to my app routing module here, and let's say if a particular path does not exist. Okay, so we do that by using this. Okay, so we are specifying a wildcard, which what Angular will do in this case is it will first check whether that particular route that we have specified is a part of one of these. Okay, and if it is not a part of these, then it will be caught by the catch all route. And if that is the case, I want to redirect the user to the home route. Okay, and I'll also specify path match as full right now. Okay, we'll see what path match is in a later video, but right now let's just bear with me. Okay, if I save this now and go back to the application, if I click on John Doe, it should redirect me to home, and that should be an expected behavior. Why is that? Because it first looked for user/1 in all these routes, but it was not able to, and that's why it resolved to the last catch all route and redirected me to the home route, like so. Okay, now let's say we wanted to get the user's details right here inside this particular section. What are we going to do in that case? Let's first see which particular route the user goes to when I hover over this particular link. Okay, so the user is expected to go to localhost :4200/user/1, as can be seen from the bottom left hand side section of the screen. Okay, and same is the case with the other users. The user for the second will go to user/2, for the third as 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth. Okay, now for that we'll have to define some child routes on this particular path here. To do that, we can also specify a children key to this route object, and then this key will contain a path, something like what we have here for the routes. Okay, so something like that. Okay, now in here, let's say if the path, sorry, so if the path is :id, in that case I want to specify the component as user details component, like so. Okay, let's see, why am I getting an error here? It says it cannot find path. Oh, that is because I am supposed to wrap this thing in a as an object, but that is something that I didn't do. Okay, now it's not complaining about anything. Okay, and also if suppose if there isn't something, okay, so if this is empty, in that case I just want to load placeholder component. Now I don't really have the placeholder component with me right now, so let me just quickly create that using Angular CLI, like so, and it got created. So if I import it from here, I should be good. Okay, all right, so it should now load the user details component for me. Okay, and if this is empty, then it should load the placeholder component. So if I save this and go back here, if I go to say users, right now I don't really have a user, so ideally this should be user, not the user details, but it should be it should be the placeholder component. Okay, now as with the parent routes, there is also something with with the child routes, wherein we specify where exactly we want Angular to place the template of that child component. Okay, basically what I mean by that is whenever a particular route is reached, Angular places this component specified by the component key here inside the router outlet, right? So if that is the case with the parent routes, that should also be the case with the child routes, right? So in the users component, right, let's just go back to the users component template, and in here we have right now specified just the app user details, and that's why we are seeing the app user details here. But ideally the expected behavior is that when there is no user selected, then this should show the placeholder tag, while if the user is selected, then this particular place should show the user details. Okay, so what I'm going to do in that case is, instead of the user detail hard coded over here, I will place another router outlet here, like so. Okay, and just remove this one, and if I save this now, ideally this should be placed with the placeholder text, like so. Okay, this is the default text for any particular component that gets created with Angular CLI, so that is something that that should not be taken care of right now. Now if I go back and click on one of the links here, then this placeholder works text should be replaced by user details works. Okay, so if I say click on this, it should say user details work. Okay, so that should mean that I'm right now at the user slash one route, and that's why it's showing me the users user details works text right now. Okay, and that is because it loaded up the user details component at that place. Okay, if I go back to the blogs and then again go back to the users right now, since there won't be any user any child route to be activated here, it would show me that placeholder works. Let me just make this very clear by typing some text in the placeholder template, like so. So I'll type something like, please select a user to see their details, like so. Okay, and now this is the text that is going to be shown. And if I let me also just change the text in the user details component. So I'll do something like details of the user. Okay, so if I click on John Doe, then it will say details of the user. Now it's loading the user details component for me, but ideally what I'd require is that I should see the details of that particular user here as well. Okay, so in that case, what I can do is I can simply get a hold of this particular route parameter, and then with the help of that route parameter, I can just query the user list and get the details of that particular user here. Okay, so right now for that, I'll probably have to implement a service, but that is something that I'll be showing you guys to do in later sections. Right now, what we'll do is we'll simply copy the data that we have here in the users component. Okay, and I'll place it inside the user details component, like so. Okay, and I'll save this. And now whenever this particular route is reached, then I'll just get a hold of this ID right here. Okay, and then for this ID, I'll search this ID in the users array and get the object with that particular ID, and simply show the details like ID, name, and email for that particular user. Okay, so to do that, I'll need to inject something as a dependency here, and that something is the activated route object. Okay, so I'll do it right away. Activated route, and this is of type activated route, and that is something that we need to import from Angular router. Okay, and now in the ng on init, when the component gets initialized, I can simply, okay, I'll have to specify this as private so that it gets registered as a property as a private property on this component. So now if I need to access it, I'll have to access it using this dot activated route, and then it has something called params. Okay, and params is, if I hover over this, it is of type observable. Okay, so in case of observables, let's just do something like call a method named subscribe on it. Okay, now just to give you a brief overview, just in case, as in case of promises that you might know, whenever there is a promise, we chain a dot then function to it and call and pass a callback function to it, like so. In case of observable, since this is an observable, instead of the then method, we will pass the subscribe method. Okay, and to the subscribe method, the first argument or the first callback that we pass will return the successful response. Okay, so the successful response that we receive here is the params. Okay, like so, and let's just log these params to the console, like so. Okay, I'll also type something like got the params as this, and if I save this now and go back to the application, it will say that got the params as, and this is the object that I got, and this is the ID, that is 1, and that is the same ID that I saw here. If I click on some other object, say Jacob Wriggling, I will get the ID as 2. Okay, and this argument or this parameter right here is something that we specified in the child route, this. Okay, if I change this to say user ID and save this, instead of ID we will be getting user ID, like so. Okay, all right, now if we have the ID here and we already have the users array inside the user details here, I can simply use that ID, okay, to get the user that I want, right, to get the details of the user. So that's what I'm going to do. Now if you can see, the ID that I receive here is in the form of a string, so I'll first have to convert it into number, and to do that I will simply do params dot user ID, and I'll place a plus sign over here. What this will do is it will convert this particular string into a number, and now since I have this array here, I can call a map function on it. Okay, I'll have to do something like this dot users dot map, and this will receive one user at a time. Okay, and this is supposed to return a user such that user dot id equal to this that we have right here. Okay, and I don't really think we'll need a return here, so I'll get rid of that. And let's say we have the user property defined here, which is of type any as of now. Okay, so I can assign what we got from here to this user, like so, and then on the UI we can simply use this user to print out the details. So like user ID, which would be user.id. I'll copy these lines. User name would be user.name, and email would be user.email, like so. If I save this now and go back to the application, since I'm uh, on the second user, I should see the user details, but I didn't get any details. Let's see what went wrong here. So I'll go back here and I'll open up user d sorry user details component, and I'll place a breakpoint over here. Now let's see what went wrong. So if I reload this application, I got the user ID as 2, but the response from this, I guess, went wrong. Okay, so this returned a map. Uh, okay, I guess I implemented the map in a wrong way. I'm not really sure. Let's just return the user with this user ID from here. Save this and go back to the application. Return, reload. And if I go here now and run this dot user should be okay. This returned true or false. That is something that I don't want. Let's see. Okay, my bad. I guess instead of map, I should be using some other method. So let's try. Yeah, okay. Filter is a method that should return. What does filter returns? Filter returns an array, I guess. So it returns the element of an array that meets the condition specified by the callback function. Okay, so this should return an array. So I'll get the 0th index of it and save this. And if I go back, let's see if we have the user. Okay, so we have the user here now. If I resume it, I should see the user's details. Okay, so I'll just remove it like this, and let's also just break these lines so that it's more, you know, visible right here. So I'll place a line break after each of them, like so, and with this as well, and save this. I'll get rid of the breakpoint here, and I should see the details of that particular user. Okay, so that's how you can implement child routing in your Angular applications. Okay, let's also see how we can get a hold of query params. So say if I wanted something like username equals Pete. Okay, and let's see what can be done to get a hold of this username right here. Okay, so in that case, um, just like activated routes, there's also something that can be, or maybe we can do that with the activated routes itself. Okay, so just like params, activated route has query params. Okay, and that is again an observable. Okay, so again we'll have to call a subscribe method on it, and this will receive QS I'll simply log the QS that we got to the console, got the query string as QS, like so. Okay, and if I save this now and go back to the application, okay, I'll just switch over right here and go to the console, and it didn't show me anything. Let's just do something like this. And yeah, now I got the username as Pete, and that's what I entered right here. Okay, if there are multiple query parameters like and mm, insta equals Peter, I should get both those query parameters inside this object. Okay, so this is how you can get a hold of the parameters and query parameters in Angular using the activated route. Okay, in the next section, we will talk about guards and some other things related to Angular routing. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.